It is Friday, July 19th. Let's talk the PlayStation. Alright, first things first, if you like SOCOM Confrontation, or perhaps SOCOM 4, or perhaps Massive Action Game, which is MAG on the PS3, well, you better play those bad boys soon because their servers are getting shut down January 28th, 2014. I'm going to boldly assume not many of you play these, considering Sony is shutting these down. They were kind of niche games for niche people. Both of the SOCOM games didn't really do that well compared to like how popular they were on PS2, and MAG kind of tanked. So, RIP to those games. But moving on to a really awesome news story that totally made my week. If you remember, a very long time ago in Let's Talk PlayStation, Team 17 announced they were making a Worms game for PlayStation Vita. It has been announced. It is Worms Revolution Extreme for the PlayStation Vita. It is coming this fall. It is pretty much the whole game. It has Vita Touch support if you perhaps for some reason want to use that. And of course, it can link up with the PS3 version, and it has some nice little bonuses. But hey, I'm super excited. And as I've said before, I'm a Worms champion, and if any of you want to play me in Worms, I will take your ass to the park. And then once we get to the park, we'll play some Worms and I'll win. That was pretty anticlimactic. Alright, so let's talk about something I kind of saw coming. Hey, if you have PS3 headsets right now, specifically even the official Sony headsets that Sony sells for, the PS3, don't worry, those will work for the PS4. Those are supported, so basically what Sony is saying, there is no proprietary system that is blocking old headphones. You can use your new headphones on the PS4, which I totally expected, but of course some people were a little iffy because on the Microsoft side with Xbox One, they're making a whole new proprietary thing and they're Xing out all the old headphones, so it's good over here. Obviously, this means the ones Sony sold with the USB dongles, you can use those on your PS4, and I'm going to obviously assume that regular headsets with regular cable jacks are going to work, and, Bluetooth ones should work. I mean, everything should be as it should, which is good. So let's talk a little bit about Mark Cerny. I mean, the PS4 architect. This guy has been doing interviews left and right, talking about the PS4, talking about how he made the gosh darn thing, how the philosophies of Sony and what they're doing, blah, blah, blah. He's answering questions. One particularly interesting question he answered is some people are a little concerned that the PS4 might overheat, because the system actually is quite smaller. It's a step forward in technology. It's far more powerful than a PS3, but realistically, like when the fat PS3 came out, like the PS4 is as thin as the second generation PS3, the PS3 Slim. It's a very pretty sleek, slim system, and people are wondering, well, what's going on? Because, that 360 thing happened, the first generation PS3 had a good amount of issues with, the yellow light of death. Will the PS4 overheat? Will it have problems and issues and stuff like that? Mark Cerny is saying, dude, calm down, it won't overheat at all. I mean, basically what he said is the hardware team knows what they're doing and they know how to make something that's not going to overheat. PS4 takes less power consumption and generally it should operate as fine, which would make sense. I mean, Sony is generally a hardware company. They make gosh darn beautiful hardware. They can put a lot of power into small devices. They can make good looking devices. I mean, that's kind of where their roots are from. So I don't really have any major concerns, but hey, if Sony makes faulty systems and they have a high failure rate, then they're in a heap load of trouble. So who out there is still holding out for BioShock on PS Vita? I know I still am. And if you remember back in 2011, Ken Levine announced that he was working on a Vita project, BioShock on Vita, a very long time ago. The last update we got was no good. The game's not even in production. It's not even being made. And they're still kind of deciding how to, go about it between Sony and 2K. And he basically gave an update on Twitter saying that that's still kind of what they're doing. He talked to Sony and 2K just recently, a few days ago, trying to make a match and trying to make this game, get the ball rolling. And that's basically the only update. But it's good. I mean, he wants to do it. He's still talking to both of these companies, and of course, they're trying to find ways. Sony perhaps has to fund it, because of course 2K doesn't want to release a game on a system that has no install base. So of course, I think it's a little hard for them to try and find a match and when to do it and when to make it right. So hopefully we'll get BioShock Vita someday, because I definitely hope so. So this one's pretty interesting. Diablo 3, I'm going to be buying it on PS4, but it turns out the PS4 version is not going to be ready by launch, and it is actually going to be releasing in 2014, whereas the PS3 version right now is coming out later this year. Of course, they do have working PS3 versions and everything. That version's totally moving along, but the company has just now gotten next generation dev kits, so that I'm assuming they're going to be starting work on the PS4 version very soon. And of course, since the PS4 itself is quite easy to develop for nowadays, I'm going to assume that they'll probably have it out Q1, Q2, 2014, and I still am probably going to buy it on PS4, so there's that. Is anybody else going to buy Diablo 3, or I'm going to assume most people have, played it on PC, so. Okay, so if you remember last week, we were talking about, PlayStation's official YouTube channel. They put up a thing saying, hey, you can use gold trophies to bid on items. All that's out now. It's out. It's called bidforgreatness.com. If you go to bidforgreatness.com, Sony has items from the commercial commercial, the Greatness Awaits commercial, that you can bid on with your trophies. And now we find out that your trophies don't actually get deducted from your PSN account. You just, when you have them, you just put your bid out there to see if you can get them, and the person with the highest trophy count obviously is going to get the item. They got some pretty cool items on there. They have a clicker costume, excuse me, Killzone costumes, a Diablo 3 stuff. It's really cool. Like, it's cool that you can, you know, bid on stuff like that with hard-earned trophies that gamers have earned. But now it's coming out that some hackers are on there because, you know, people that are modding their PS3s have custom firmware and have certain exploits. They're on there earning all these billions of trophies, and then they're basically bidding on these items and taking it for free. It was just kind of a little mini conundrum, and now Sony is saying that they're investigating and validating all the winners. So if they see perhaps the guy that won the Killzone costume, that he earned 8,000 trophies in one day, they're gonna, you know, be like, okay, well, you're not winning because you can't do that physically. It's impossible. I know it. So getting back to Mark Cerny and how he's saying all these really crazy things about PS4 development, he has also said this week that Sony was also testing a little bit of, you know, the DualShock 4. The DualShock 4 could basically sense the sweat glands of a person and how much they sweat. Now, right off the bat, you're probably thinking, I probably don't know what you're thinking. Some people might think it's cool, some people might think it's dumb and stupid. I'm probably under that banner. It's one of those things where when a company is making a product, no matter what product it is, they're going to think of everything possible to possibly put into that product, right? They're going to test every single denomination and element of whatever they can think of for the product to possibly make it different or possibly revolutionize the industry that they're in. And of course, some of those things are just absolutely, like, just weird and outlandish, and I think this is one of those things. Now, certainly if Sony opted for something like this and they could actually make it work, I guess there could certainly be some cool uses for it in-game, but of course that's just something that's too far ahead and kind of too useless and kind of too dumb, because not everybody sweats when they're playing games, and it goes into way too many elements. But it was totally a canned idea, and of course Sony opted for like the touchpad and stuff like that, and improved triggers and what have you. Simpler stuff that would probably matter and impact the game the most, possibly. Maybe if such a controller existed, you could be totally EA in the game when you're playing Madden and you're just getting so sweaty and you're playing with your friends and you're having a great time, and then when you get like too sweaty, when the controller knows like, yo, this dude's getting really sweaty, they just like dump all that Gatorade on you. Like in person. Like fucking John Madden walks in your house and dumps Gatorade all over you. Alrighty, hey guys, I got some cool new videos coming up. More on-camera videos. Not Let's Talk PlayStation, but more on-camera stuff. I know some people want to see stuff like that, so look out for those. But in the meantime, that concludes this week's episode of Let's Talk PlayStation. I'm Ryan Benecki. Thank you so much for talking with me. I'll see you next Friday.